don't forget to follow My Warp Life on Instagram to hear when new things are coming and enter one of our monthly giveaways.
That's right. You know, you can win yourself a t-shirt and a beanie, which I don't have yet, or even a bottle of Kevin Lyman's hot sauce, which I do have, and it's fantastic. So don't forget, if you have any questions for us or topics you want us to discuss, text us at 818-863-6445.
And if you enjoy listening to the conversations with our guests, you can hear the full versions of all the interviews on our Patreon for only $5. We donate all the proceeds to our favorite charities, and you can cancel anytime.
Hi, Kevin.
Hey, Tony. So, yeah, we're going to start this episode off with a little cheers. The Rams.
Rams! Go Rams! Woohoo!
All right, Tony, how you been?
I'm good. The Rams won. I'm great.
But we had to relocate today because my allergies in our backyard.
Yeah, dude, a bomb went off in your backyard. That tree's gorgeous, but what a pain in the ass.
A bomb went off. That's the best way to describe it.
So much fun. Thank you so much. The Super Bowl party was a rage.
It was great to have everyone over.
It could have kept going, too. Everybody didn't want to leave.
It was kind of like, when would the pandemic be over? Since the music world revolves around Coachella around this time of year, when they announced that you don't have to wear masks or be vaccinated at Coachella or Stagecoach, it's over. Pandemic's done. Time to move on. A lot of people were asking, like, you know, what have you been doing and listening to music and everything? And I said, well, it was very strange. For so many years, I was put in a position where I was listening to music to book on tours and festivals.
This was a segment in our show, basically, that we do in every show. And, you know, it's towards the end of the show. I say, hey, Kevin, what's your favorite band out right now you've been listening to? And this time, you brought the cat on the show.
Yeah, well, actually, it was a referral from my daughter, Sierra.
Who knows everyone.
Yeah, she said, hey, Dad, you got to talk to this guy, Chad Tepper. He's getting really well known. He's totally cool. You'll like him. You got to have him over. You know, our house, it's like, yeah, come on over. No background check, no anything. Just come on over.
Yeah.
So I invited Chad Tepper over, and we had
no background check.
Yeah, no background.
Could have murdered everybody.
We hung out with Chad, and he came in and asked him, what would you like? It was like 10 in the morning. I opened the refrigerator. Would you like some weird tea or weird water or anything? He just saw these 3 random, like, alcoholic iced teas that have probably been there for 5 years in the back corner of the refrigerator. He says, those will do me well. So we sat down at 10 in the morning, and we had this great conversation. I think he is kind of the future of music. You know, when I started talking to him, I started finding out all the people he's been doing music with. So also part of this episode will be Pierre Bouvier from Simple Plan and Jaret Reddick from Bowling for Soup. It was really an interesting thing, and kind of how music is being created now versus how these bands created their music, and now how it's all blending together. So it's pretty cool. I started by asking Chad where he grew up and what his childhood was like. I was a little surprised that he had never made it to Warped Tour, given how passionate he was about the scene, but he gave me some context to why he didn't make it.
Get it? He'd never been to Warped Tour.
He'd never been there.
I grew up in Orlando, Florida. No, I never got to go to Warped Tour.
You can't say your parents were worried about you getting in trouble if you grew up in Orlando, Florida. Because there is only trouble in Orlando, Florida.
So I grew up very, 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 very poor. I was homeless for 7 years. I come from like absolutely fucking nothing. Started skateboarding when I was 12, turned pro when I was 19. So, and I've been a fan of pop punk and punk music and rock music and alternative music my whole entire fucking life. So it goes hand in hand, skateboarding and fucking rock music, right?
That's what Warped Tour started out. Did you ever go to the skate park in Tampa?
Yeah, skate park in Tampa all the fucking time. Brian Schaefer, what's up, brother? So from the age of 5 to 12, so for 7 years, I was homeless. Living in tents, cars, side of the road, hotels, shelters, different shit like that. And it was with my 2 brothers and my mom and my dad.
After hearing about the tough situation he was in, I asked him what helped him get through it.
Skating and music was the only thing that made me free. And they went hand in hand. I had to have a CD player. I had to have it in my fucking ears when I skated. Music was everything to me. You know, and listening to like Sublime, Sum 41, Blink-182, Good Charlotte, like Simple Plan, Bowling for Soup, like those fucking bands. Everything just went hand in hand for me, and the music was always such a great outlet for me because I could close my eyes and I could float away to another fucking world. And I hope that my music right now is doing that for somebody right now. Like their music did for me when I was a kid and I was lost.
He was your scene. He was a Warped Tour type of a scene. That's where he came up.
He related with so many kids that I had talked to in line at Warped Tour, or kids that had sent emails or things, how music got him through the hard time, how a certain set of lyrics got him through the hard times. But what he did was sit there and start writing his own lyrics.
I've been writing music and poetry since I can fucking remember. I remember being like 7 years old and like singing over stuff, but my own lyrics. And then when I was about 10 years old, I remember me and my brother, we got a little tape recorder, those little like memo things where with the little tape. We got one like at a thrift store. I remember when we were fucking homeless, we got one for like $2 or something. And I would be like singing into it and he would be singing into it. Then I remember like writing poetry at like 13 and 14 and I was a hopeless romantic. Like I would see a girl and I'd be like obsessed.
Makes sense, those emo bands, that era of like,
I'm like emo to the fucking core. I would see this girl I'd be obsessed with and I'd be like, how can I get this girl to notice me? I'm just like some poor loser, dude. Like, how can I get this girl to notice me? So I would like write poetry for her at fucking like 12 and 13.
It was pretty hard for him growing up, but he smiles and really enthusiastic. I mean, when did he start pulling out of that?
I always wanted to make music. I always played guitar, played drums, but how do you get into music professionally? Like, I don't know where to go to a studio. I don't know what to do. And then one day, one of my friends, this dude, Diego Farias, he started Volumes. I don't know if you know the band Volumes.
Volumes toured with me quite a bit.
He, that dude changed my life. Rest in peace. He passed away a few years ago. He came to me and he was like, I would always sing in front of him and play guitar. And he was like, you have a really good voice.
He made some drastic moves in his own life. He made some decisions that took him to different places.
I moved to New York City for about 2 years, which was fantastic and horrible all in one. I was living in a shoebox for so much money and it wasn't the right move. So I ended up moving to Los Angeles, and I moved out to Los Angeles with like $300 and I lived on a couch for 2 years. But to get back to the story, Diego Ferris, who started Volumes, heard me sing and he was like, bro, we should record music together. And I was like, yeah, let's see. And I go in and I record music with him, and that dude spent the last year of his life helping me. I would not be where I am right now without that guy. I would not be where I am without that guy. That guy took the last year of his life and was with me almost every day helping me. Every fucking day for hours and hours and hours. And he would always say, oh, you're going to make it, man. I know it. And even though I'm nowhere near where I want to be, like if he could see the things I've done this year, like I did a song with Bowling for Soup. I did a song with Simple Plan. I did a song with Chivy McCoy from Gym Class Heroes. Like crazy, bro.
Volumes was this band that I brought on Warped Tour multiple times. They were a solid band, could tour venues and clubs, but they never kind of really broke out, but they were a hardworking band. But I do have to tell you a story, Tony, because it was one of these crazy moments. I get a report on the road that this band had gone to a Walmart and like cleaned all their trash out of their van and just kind of dumped it on the ground, left it there. What? And the head of Walmart came out, and the manager that night says, what are you and who are you? And they said, well, we're the band Volumes, and they had a sign in their window that said Warped Tour because every band had a number. And the guy goes, well, I'm going to call, and Walmart is never going to allow Warped Tour vehicles in their parking lots. It was like this whole like moment. Like we were trying to be good citizens. We didn't want to litter. We didn't want to leave trash around. So I'm in the production office, and they're like, some driver comes, he goes, van number 86 was out there trashing a Walmart parking lot. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I'm just like all pissed that morning. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, who's number 86? They go, Brownlee goes, Volumes. And I go, that's it. I'm going to go ring him up. Lisa comes storming. We go through the parking lot. We get to the van, and I'm like banging on the door. And the door slides open, and there's this, like, it's just trash, like inside the van. There's like 8 dudes living in a van. And this dude rolls over, and he goes, chill out, homie.
Chill out, homie. You shouldn't have told me that story, Kevin, because I'm going to say that a lot now.
So it became like, that was like the term. Like people would go, like every time they'd see me, like Lisa would be like, chill out, homie. So I sent them away for a couple days, and then they came back. But Volumes wasn't one of those bands. They kind of lived life on the edge.
Let's back up. This kid was really emotional about Diego, and Diego passed away. What really strikes me about his interview here is he's grateful. He looks like he really wants to be able to give back if he can.
Chad's gone a long way, pretty much on his own.
I've been independent now. Everything you see so far, no money, no label, nobody sucking anybody off, nobody fucking. This is all just me making relationships with people and people believing in me and loving me and caring about me.
Chad was like, I want to do stuff with my heroes. I want to do some songs. I have some ideas. But he talked about the problem with the industry today.
So many people are fucking gatekeepers where they're like, this is fucking me and the new generation can fucking suck it and da-da-da-da. And then you have these artists, like same thing with Jacoby from Papa Roach, sweetest dude in the world. And I love seeing these bands. It's just, for me, these are the bands I grew up listening to and idolized. I was a kid in front of my mom's trailer when I was 12 years old, listening to the Simple Plan album, singing every fucking word on my CD player. And you fast forward, and then I'm putting out an album coming out, and Pierre's helping me produce it, which is awesome, bro. He's helping me write. He's helping me do this and that. So it's so weird how full circle the whole world can get. And I think when I get to a point where 10 or 15 or 5, whatever years from now, I want to do the same thing to the next generation.
I saw those videos, so I'm friends with the band. Jerry was at our taping of our television show, and I saw him with Jacoby, and Jacoby's super cool, and it's cool that he gives a shout out that you said in this industry that there are gatekeepers. He said that too, but Jacoby was helping him and just saying, come on. And
well, it's usually the process of when you co-do a song or you want to record with someone. You go through the record label or the management company or anything.
Yeah, but they were just like, fuck it, come on, let's do it. And he's right. Jacoby's like that. They're just super fucking cool. And there's a lot of people that aren't super cool.
That's the difference now. It's totally different. It's like people have access to people, directly.
Yeah, because social media, because of technology.
He used the modern way to reach people. He just took it into his own hands.
Shout out Pierre Bouvier from Simple Plan, the lead singer. Most sweetest, humble, amazing person I've ever met in my entire life. I have a song with Simple Plan, Chad Tepper featuring Simple Plan. That has never happened in history, ever. That doesn't exist. They've never featured on anybody's music, ever.
First person I had a contact was Pierre from Simple Plan and asked how it all came around.
Oh, that's cool.
Chad, I love the guy. He's such a sweetheart, and we're really connected in a great way. But the way that it happened is that initially he reached out to me. I think I started following him because he's entertaining. I like that kind of jackass kind of thing where he just does, funny stuff. I didn't really know much of his music. I heard a couple of songs. He was kind of like on TikTok a lot, and I was on there. And then that song that was called "Enough of You." It's like, I got enough of you, and enough of you telling me. And it was kind of like, I liked his voice, so I just started following him. And one day I checked my messages, and he messaged me, and he was like, "Yo, man, Pierre, I'm a huge fan. I'd love to work with you." And I was like, yeah, whatever. Kind of brushed it off. And then every other week or so, he'd be like, "Hey, Pierre, man, don't ghost me. I really want to work with you. I love your music." And it was a pandemic and stuff, and I was busy with the family. And I'm like, yeah, that'd be cool. We should figure it out. He's like, "What about like next week?" And I'm like, all right. I'm like, oh, this guy's he's really persistent, and I admire that. So I was like, and I wasn't really busy. So I was like, all right, fuck it. Come on over, So I didn't really know what to expect. Never met the guy before. And he came up to my house and he pulled up in the driveway. And I'm like, what's going to happen? Like, is he going to do some sort of weird prank? Is he going to throw a football in my nuts or something? Or is he going to come out with some cameras or whatever? First of all, he just told me how much he was a huge fan of Simple Plan. He's like, "I'm a huge fan of yours. I love your music." He knew all the songs. You look at him on his persona and you're like, is this guy a sweetheart, or is he a dick, or is he whatever? But super nice, really gentle, big guy, but like really friendly. He's got all tattoos in his face and stuff, but he's like sitting there. And as you know, through Warped Tour, most of those guys that are all tatted up are the sweetest guys ever. As I usually do, if I work with someone else, I usually start an idea. So he came in with a bunch of ideas, and Lex had some stuff, and I produced. He didn't know if I produced stuff, so I have my studio here, and I was all set up. We just basically wrote a first song together, and he was like, "Dude, this is sick. It's so good." And he's like, "I want to release it next week." And I'm like, whoa, okay, cool. And then he's like, "I'd love to have it featuring Simple Plan." And I'm like, whoa, okay. First of all, my connection with him was so genuine, and I really liked him. And I think he's got a really cool voice. So I write a lot of melodies, a lot of lyrics and stuff, and I sing them, I demo them, and I sound the way that I sound, right? And then if I give something that I wrote that I wrote, and I make him sing it, because I'm so pop sensitive, and my melodies and lyrics are so catchy and so perfectly crafted, or I'm not trying to, give myself credit, but it's very usually, very catchy.
It's
But
true.
combine that with his voice that's kind of got this grit and attitude to it that mine doesn't. It made all this stuff that I was writing sound like cooler, And then when it was done, I sent it to Chuck, and I was like, well, listen, this is not a typical collaboration that we usually do, but I looked at what Chad had built and what sort of, following he had. And he's a really genuine big following. He's got 1.5 on Instagram and like 1.7 on TikTok. So he's got a huge following. And he's like part of this newer generation of younger, fans of pop punk that are making it a little different, with adding some different production aspects to it. And so I talked over with him, and I'm like, he wants me to sing on it, but he would love it to be a featuring Simple Plan. So I played him the song, and Chuck liked it, loved the song. And we said, what the hell, let's just do it. Let's just do a song
That's cool.
featuring Simple Plan, because at the end of the day, it's featuring me. But for the streaming purposes, if you want it to pop up on the Simple Plan page, it's got to be featuring Simple Plan, right? So it's featuring Simple Plan. It was really fast, which is very unusual, because Simple Plan, we're very meticulous about getting every detail right. So we'll write a song, demo it, live with it, reproduce it, work with that, mix it, remix it, figure it out. With him, it was like we wrote it, I produced it within that week, and it was released the week later. So it was like, holy shit, this is so spontaneous.
All of a sudden, you have people who've been around, we're talking 20, 25 years as bands, and they're starting to record a little different. Took this opportunity to ask Pierre, because I knew that he embraced a lot of things over the pandemic, and I just wanted him to kind of tell me a little bit about what he'd been up to over the pandemic.
It's hard to be consistent with delivering content if you're always trying to plan it with 5 guys, because it's like, okay, when are we going to be together? We've got to figure out some sort of skit. It's really like Instagram and TikTok. It works well if you do it on your own. You can be creative. You can look at your camera and be like, I'm going to do this. It's going to be funny. I'm going to put it here. So I tried doing that a little bit. And then, the cameo thing was, initially absolutely motivated by oh shit, I'm going to run out of, there's no income for the next couple of years. So we got to make some money. And I started Cameo, and I know the rest of the guys in the band were like, I don't know, man, Cameo is kind of lame, and then I started doing it, and I was blown away by, not only was it offering me, a little extra side income, but the connection that I was making with the people that were ordering these cameos was so genuine. It was it was things like the comments, the reviews I was getting, the response I was getting from those fans was like, oh my God. And it started making sense to me. If I was a fan of somebody when I was younger, and I could get a personalized message from this person, I mean, I wouldn't find that lame at all. I'd find that like the coolest thing ever. So I leaned into that. We did a lot of TikTok stuff, and my Instagram is funny because I go in waves, if I'm in that mode, I'll do like a week where I'm just like stories, posts. I'm doing covers, doing stuff. And then, life will get in the way, and I'm like, I can't deal with this shit. And I'll go like a week or 2 without posting anything, which is not the way to optimize the algorithms, but whatever. I'm doing my best.
Pierre did not have to do this. He took a chance. He liked the kid. He was freaked out a little bit. And I think he said in there, well, I wasn't doing anything next week, but it worked out. I mean, that was exactly what Chad was talking about, where the older generation is helping the younger generation come up. He didn't have to do that, and it just worked out, and thank God.
And he was so worried about him coming up and throwing a football into his nuts. He wore a cup when he brought up that he'd done a song with Jaret from Bowling for Soup. I'm like, my reoccurring guest on the podcast, always available, always here, and I always appreciate catching up with him. So we caught up about, the relationship with Chad.
I sent him a message. I was like, hey, dude, my kids, watch your stuff on YouTube. And he was like, my God, I'm the biggest Bowling for Soup fan. And at first I kind of thought he was messing with me, but no, turns out he actually is this huge Bowling for Soup fan. So we just got friendly on Instagram and talked a little bit. He wanted a little bit of just some advice on a few things here and there. Then he ended up sending my son one of his skateboards, and completely blew my 15-year-old's mind, by the way. Then hit me up about doing a song together. And so we did.
Bowling for Soup was kind of turned on to me by my daughters on Radio Disney. But that's where I learned about him. So it's funny that we, as a generation, always learn from our children.
Kids, yeah.
So I like this whole concept of collaboration. What's going on with Travis Barker and bringing in people like Black Bear and Mod Sun and everyone.
Is Chad the next generation? Has pop punk changed?
Oh, it's bigger than ever right now.
What is it?
It's bigger than ever.
How has it changed?
It'll never really change. Maybe the way we market it, maybe the way we record it, but it's still pop punk. And talking to Jaret, I asked him about this collaborations now between some of the people of the older generations and the younger generations, and if there's any difference.
That world is so different from me. He's this kind of pop punk guy who comes from that sort of almost like a hip hoppy world as far as the way that they create, because they'll, make this music bed and then he goes in there and he ad libs over the music bed. And that's very, very hip hop, in the way that they make music. And pop punk, we sit there and sort of slave away at like, okay, here's the riff and we're going to do this melody over this. And now let's spend 2 hours on the lyrics of this one verse just to make sure it's perfect.
That was a reoccurring thing because Pierre talked about going over and over and over. And then Jaret's like, we go over and over and over. And then you got this new generation that let's just do it. Let's throw it out and see what happens.
Here's my argument for that, though. I think these Pierre and Jaret have a little bit to lose. The younger generation doesn't so much, and I think they painstakingly are very proud of their careers, and they don't want to put out shit.
I think they've all come around to the Ice-T's old saying, you just got to go with your gut sometimes and get it done. Hammer down. That's what Chad is doing. Like, he's got these collaborations going everywhere. He doesn't even have a record deal yet.
Why not? You know how many
why?
followers this guy has?
But why?
Is he turned them down?
He's turned down a lot of record deals.
Oh,
He's being very careful. By the time this episode comes out, Tony, he might have a record deal. We don't know.
That's the spicy meatball.
This is a lifestyle that people like, Jaret have chosen, Pierre has chosen, a lot of artists have chosen. They haven't shift genres of music to fit the times. They're pretty excited about, the direction it's going. They enjoy that some of the younger artists are paying homage to them, but they know it's not necessary.
I have this vision of pop punk is because I feel like we are always going to be a thing, just like hair metal is a thing and grunge is a thing. I think pop punk exists and there's going to be layers of it that keep adding on, but people will always come back to, our late 90s, early 2000s, those of us who, have been in it since the beginning. And I've always said, man, one of the cool things about like old country is like, this guy would do this song and then this guy would do this song and then they do it together. And I'm like, why don't we do that? Why don't we do a Yellow Card song and Yellow Card does a Simple Plan song and Simple Plan does a thing and we do a playlist about it. That's the Chad Tepper thing of the world. Is like, no, bro, do this verse. You do with it whatever you want, whatever you think is good, and here's how it works. You take your part of the songwriting and, all of this. So there's no ego. There's none of that, which is great with me. Because I love the whole idea of just working with other people. I always have, and I love this new generation, by the way. And I'm glad you do too. I think it's great for the genre. It's a very positive, just a whole positive thing. I really do. In this day and age, it's all about content, and if you can get out there and work with somebody new and, you find the Chad Teppers of the world, God, he's just so positive. He just has such a great outlook. He's such a good kid.
That is wonderful that he likes to collaborate, and the way that they're collaborating, he had mentioned something. There are no egos. You take yours, I take mine. I think this has a lot to do with Chad's character. Not necessarily everybody can do this. Not everybody can go to all these different bands, be super cool, be super charming, have no ego, and just lay down something cool. So I think it's a testament to I hope everybody can do that, but let's be honest, this is the music industry, and there's a lot of egos in this town, and there's a lot of real talented people with egos, and there's a lot of real talented people who don't have them. So I'm wrong, but it seems to me that he's a really easygoing guy and gets along really well, plays well with others, I should say.
I mean, absolutely. Getting to spend that time with him was pretty cool, and I asked Chad, what's up next?
I've been talking to a few labels. I think I am about to sign, honestly, because I've reached that point where, I'm ready to go to the next level. And I have some like really big, crazy features coming out this year and a lot of crazy songs and different things. And I need money behind what I'm doing. I've gotten this far without putting one penny behind anything. Every music video you see I've directed and fucking made on $0. Like no money in the fucking advertisement for the songs, no fucking posters, no stickers, no bullshit. Like it's all 100% just me with no money involved into the project. So I'm ready.
I've always said that, part of your career and part of your life is about giving back a bit. And I think he related a lot to early in his life, to why he wants to give back in so many ways.
There was this label, Hopeless Records, Tobin over there. Love that dude with all my heart. He has a program where he buys CDs or different things music-wise to give to homeless kids and kids in need. And like, that's what I want to do, because I first found music when I was homeless and I had a CD player from a fucking, organization that gave me a CD player, and I would go to the library and I would get like the Sum 41, the Blink, the fucking, Green Day, Good Charlotte, like I would get those CDs, and that turned me on to the music that I'm making today and that I love, and it changed my life. I first heard My Chemical Romance because I got the fucking CD at the library. What the fuck is that? That's insane. So that is something that I really want to do, and I think when my time is right, I want to not only donate money to homeless kids and do stuff like that, but I want to... There's this story when I was a kid, me and my dad would hang out in front of the House of Blues in Orlando, and we would listen to music from the outside because we couldn't afford to go in. And we'd do that a bunch. And then fast forward to 2017, 2018, sold out the House of Blues.
Hey, selling it out.
See? Right there. That's a wonderful way to end it with him. That's cool. Where do you envision him, Kevin, if he does get signed and he puts out a single, he says he has movies? What kind of a tour venue do you see him in this day and age that someone would book him on? And what bands would he be with in today's age?
I could see him in a great package. Like if I was packaging him right now with someone and I'd ask him to go out with some, if Simple Plan was out there and Bowling for Soup was going out next summer, do a co-bill, do some package with him. I'm sure he would be happy to play right before them, or they could play right. If I was a band like them, I would be like, we'll play right before you. You can close the show if you want, because you want to capture all those new fans. And then you do a couple songs together to close the night. Be a killer show.
In this segment, I'm not going to ask you what you've been listening to. Clearly, you've been listening to Chad.
I have, but I've been actually sitting up late at night. I call them the late night mashup set list. There was like a big white boy reggae festival last month in Long Beach. So I had to dig into it, because that's such a big scene of music now. Because I realized everyone's smoking pot because they're worried about fentanyl and every other kind of drug.
They're not taking anything. That's ecstasy. I don't care. I'm not taking that shit.
I've been listening to these collaborations, Modest Yahoo and Seth Cathedral and Jason Lenning and Sideways and Rhoda Ikera. So all these bands are starting to do collaborations in every scene of music, which is so smart. I think we got a long ways to go. It's good to see Swayze doing stuff with Cisco Adler again. It's such good stuff right now. I have a whole couple playlists I'm listening to right now. We wish the best to Chad Tepper. So good to catch up with Pierre. I'm going to be up there to golf with you soon, Pierre.
Let's do some more rock and roll golf. I mean, we got your golf tournament coming up. You want to plug that one too? Right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's going to be sold out this year. Everyone's going to be out and playing.
Too bad for you. It's so much fun. Rock and roll golf.
At the end of each episode, we call out a charity that's doing some good for our community. But right now, with what's going on in Ukraine, a lot of people are asking, how can I help? What can I do? There's going to be such a need out there. I checked out the Better Business Bureau, and they've recommended some of the charities that are doing good work and that your money will go to good things and not disappear into some scam. Check out Catholic Relief Services, Direct Relief, Global Giving, International Rescue Committee, Save the Children, also the Salvation Army, as well as Chef Andre's organization are feeding all the refugees that are coming across the border. So I know of all of us over here feel for those people who just wanted to live in peace. I want to give a shout out to Charlie G for joining our Patreon this week. We truly want to appreciate your support. Thank you. Take care.
Make sure everybody you subscribe on Spotify and Apple, YouTube, and leave us a review. You can see us on Spotify now. You can see the videos. Check those out. Subscribe to our Patreon. A subscription is only $5, and you can stop anytime you want.
It's been a lot of fun doing this episode. It was awesome to have Chad in the backyard and hanging out with him. looking forward to future episodes. We've been doing some really good stuff, talking to a lot of people who have been photographers and doing journalism on the Warped Tour. That'll be a future episode.
Make sure you follow us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Facebook, and see the weekly cooking and gardening tips from Kevin Lyman.
And I'd like to encourage all of you to register to vote.